So now that we are almost in the month of December, we are officially approaching the holidays. And today I wanted to talk about how to make festive dressing really fun, really modern, and really classic and sophisticated. I kind of feel like it's one of the only times of the year that you can actually have kind of a theme to your dressing, which is actually really fun. But it's one of those things that can also be a little bit on the costumey side if you're not careful. So today I wanted to give you a few ideas, a few examples, and a few tips of how to keep holiday dressing really simple, really festive, really fun, yet still sophisticated. Okay, so I've broken it down to a few simple ideas. The first is adding in plaid. Now, I feel like plaid is that kind of fabric that is so perfect this time of year. It's not something you want to wear as much later in the winter, let's say at the end of February, at the beginning of March, but really, really works for the holiday season. I personally love plaid. I love the history of plaid, and I feel like it's a really easy thing to bring in as a subtle touch to your outfits or in a maximalist kind of way. And I love the idea of just simply adding in a plaid scarf, for instance. I feel like it makes a basic black sweater look that much more festive. It adds a little bit of color, whether or not you want to do it in a simple plaid scarf or a big blanket scarf. I think it's lovely. I think it's very festive and is a really, really classic look. But you can take this same idea of plaid to the next level by incorporating it in other articles of clothing. Either being a coat, for instance, fantastic, super chic, never gonna go out of style, or by doing a plaid skirt or a plaid pant, for instance. Now, this is one of those places where it can look very traditional very quickly and can sometimes feel a little bit on the older side, but I love the idea of doing a juxtaposition of a plaid skirt, let's say, with unexpected colors or unexpected shapes, like this oversized sweatshirt, for instance, or doing it with a bare leg, a Sperry, and a red shoe, or doing this nod to granny style. Love this idea. Also love the idea of layering a plaid. I love doing a plaid with a stripe, for instance. It's one of my favorite looks. I love doing a plaid with another plaid or another print. I feel like that's the easiest way to make a plaid look modern. And I feel like that's the place where you make a plaid look very chic and very stylish. Okay, next up is extremely simple, and that is adding in a pop of red to your outfits. I kind of feel like this time of year, because it gets so dark so early, we definitely are in need of a cheeriness, a need of color, and red just works perfectly. I personally have a red coat that I wear all the time, and I feel like it's one of the easiest ways to bring in that pop of color in a red coat. Looks great paired with jeans, looks great paired with all black, looks great paired with an all denim outfit, let's say. It's always gonna look sophisticated. It's always gonna look really chic. The other thing I love about having a red coat is that it's really great for right now, but it's also really great transitioning into the spring. But if you don't love the idea of doing a red coat, then just bringing in red in different areas, whether you're doing it with a scarf, whether you do a all red dress with a lovely red lip, whether you bring it in with a chunky knit sweater and a red lip, and then here we have our plaid skirt again, making it very modern, paired with these fantastic white boots. Love this outfit. I feel like this would also look great with a black stocking if you're not lucky enough to live somewhere where it's warm enough to wear a bare leg at this time of year. Or you can bring it in a pair of pants, in a boot. Really easy to incorporate this in any kind of accessory, and I particularly love the way it looks as a red clutch. Next idea is this idea of texture. A rich leather or faux leather, for instance. To me, the leather, the texture of the leather just adds an element to an all black outfit, for instance, that makes it look really quite dressy. And that's kind of what we're wanting this time of year, something that you can really do day to night in. And then bringing in a little bit of plaid to that texture of leather, I think really makes it look festive. It screams holiday to me. And it's one of those looks that any age can pull off. Next, we have this idea of adding in a little bit of bling. I mean, what better time of year to add in a little bit of sparkle, to add in a little bit of specialness to your outfits, to adorn yourself with lovely things and lovely elements. I love the idea of taking a really basic outfit and then adding in a bag that has some texture, that has some richness to it, that has a little bit of sparkle, some excitement. This is a time where you can really play around with gold accents or sequins, or playing around with the softness of transparency with a sequin, for instance. So pretty, so perfect for holiday parties, but you can also do something like that that's even a little bit more daytime as well. And then finally, and I think that this is kind of one of my favorites because I feel like this is very new. I feel like when I was growing up, this was sort of unheard of to do this. It was really frowned upon, but I love this idea. A few years ago, I went thrift shopping with my daughter because she wanted an ugly Christmas sweater. And I'm sure those of you out there with daughters can relate. It's super fun. It's actually quite funny. And it's not something that I would necessarily do in this exact kind of way. I think that there are ways to take this whole idea and make it look more sophisticated. For instance, doing a sweater that is big and embellished and adding it with a texture like leather looks so chic, so stylish, so fashion forward. Or taking a sweater that has a very bold print and pairing it with colors that are similar, so it looks bold yet very sophisticated, very stylish. Doing an oversized kind of Nordic sweater that feels really cozy, pairing it with jeans, keeping it simple, but taking that idea of the ugly Christmas sweater, but paring it down a little bit. This is again a place where you can play around with print on print. Taking that big, cozy, bold printed sweater and pairing it with a plaid, pairing it with a fun scarf, pairing it with a fun coat. Get that maximalist feel, but it still reads as very sophisticated and very chic. And I think that there is nothing more fun and nothing more playful than sort of putting together all these elements. Taking your sequins and your Nordic sweater and your plaid and mixing it all together, I think is so much fun. I think is really playful and youthful, really modern. And when are you ever going to have an opportunity for the rest of the year to juxtapose all these different elements together? There you have it, my friends. A few ways to get inspired to create some fun holiday looks. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Please give me a thumbs up. Please let me know in the comments down below how you like to dress for the holidays. And of course, for more style ideas and more inspiration, continue to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram.